You know, everybody, they had said that Fonnie Willis overcharged when she put out these indictments. So I guess the judge took the ones that didn't have a good chance. He will not dismiss the case. He just took 6 counts off, which still leaves them a lot of charges. But anyway, here's gonna see. Excuse me. We'll see. Listen to this, and then you guys come up and tell me what you think.
But first, let's talk Georgia. With all 3 charges dropped, Trump still faces 10 other counts in this case. But Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee quashed charges that Trump solicited Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger to violate his oath of office by asking him to, quote, find enough votes to put him ahead of Joe Biden in Georgia. The judge also dismissed 1 charge against former Trump lawyer Rudy Giuliani. McAfee is still considering a bid by Trump and other defendants to disqualify District Attorney Fonnie Willis from the case for an alleged conflict of interest. With that, let's go to legal affairs correspondent Avajoy Burnett, who joins us now over the phone. So, Avajoy, what more can you tell us about these new developments out of Georgia? What does this exactly mean moving forward?
Well, this means that the case will continue. The judge was very specific in saying that this does not mean that the indictment is no more. It just means that these 6 charges, in his opinion, do not have enough foundation to be able to stand on their own. That's why he's gotten rid of those charges. 6 charges in total, 3 of them against former President Donald Trump. But as you mentioned, Carolyn, there's several additional charges for the former president and some of the other co-defendants in this case. Remember, when this indictment came in the summer of last year, there was a total of 19 co-defendants, and 4 of them have taken plea deals and have pleaded guilty, but there are 14 remaining people. And we have been going through the process of having motions to dismiss. And this is why we now see this conclusion from this judge regarding these 6 charges. There have been motions in the last few weeks to dismiss. The judge looked over the details, and he's determined that these 6 charges are not able to stand on their own. He believes the district attorney's office didn't do possibly enough homework to back up why they decided to charge those co-defendants with those 6 specific charges. And as a result, they've decided to drop them. But it's very important to note, Carolyn, that this does not mean that as of this moment, the indictment is no more. And right now, I am waiting for a comment from the attorney who's representing former President Donald Trump on this matter. It's possibly a win for them, but it's not an absolute win because the case is still ongoing.
You know, Avajoy, I got to say, we've been following this, as have you, of course, from the start. And it's interesting because it seems like there's so many distractions in this case. One of the major ones, of course, Fonnie Willis, the DA in this case. We're still waiting to hear what happens with that. This latest ruling, that doesn't have anything to do with Fonnie Willis and her standing of the case, right?
It does not have anything to do with the standing. In fact, Carolyn, we were waiting for the judge to determine if the district attorney, Fonnie Willis, is able to continue on this case. It's something that's totally different from this news that came out today with the 6 charges that are no longer on this indictment. So that's why when this information came down, it was such a surprise. It took a little bit of time for the information to trickle out because, as you know, there have been problems with the system in Fulton County, Georgia, because of a cyber attack. And we were able to get this information from an attorney who is representing one of the co-defendants. They sent this information to us because it is public information, but it's been really hard to get details on this case because the website is not up and running. But this really was a surprise today. Many people who've been following this case, including myself, we were waiting to see what the judge's ruling would be on if District Attorney Fonnie Willis and the special prosecutor she hired, Nathan Wade, should be disqualified from continuing on the case. And just to refresh everyone's memory on that situation, the district attorney was accused of financially benefiting from the prosecution because she hired someone who she ended up having a romantic relationship with. It opened up for many people, a can of worms, because the district attorney was forced to testify under oath and publicly admit this relationship. There was this massive move from defense attorneys to have her disqualified and to have the case dropped altogether. And that is what people were waiting to hear about. This hearing happened, the closing of these hearings happened on March 1st, and the judge, Judge Scott McAfee, said he would give us a decision within 2 weeks. That deadline was coming up this Friday. And so that's what we were all refreshing our computers, waiting to get details on. And then this big news came today about these 6 charges being dropped from specific individual co-defendants in this matter. So it's a bit of a surprise, but the bottom line here is this indictment still stands. And as of this moment, the process will continue. We will continue to see additional motions. We will continue to see this work its way through the court system. But we still have to wait to see if the district attorney will be disqualified from the case.
Interesting stuff. Legal affairs correspondent Ava Joy Burnett, thanks so much.
Well, you heard it, and let me know what you think, because I don't see her being disqualified. I really don't. I don't see her being disqualified for it. I've been following the case ever since she got it and he got charged. I've heard lawyers say that she overcharged them, but in order to bring a case against them, for what I've read and what I've learned, is in Georgia, you have to bring RICO cases against a number of people when it's more than one person, from what I've heard and what I've read. How true that is, I don't really know, because I have not studied Georgia law. I have not studied law, period. Well, I did take some courses in it to be a probation officer, but nothing on this level. This is like federal stuff. And I've never, dealt with anything like that. But anyway, I don't think she'll be disqualified. Maybe they might ask her to find someone else to be her special prosecutor or have her do it herself. I think she could. I think she could use her dad, because he's smart enough and his mind is well enough to do it. But I know she probably won't use her own dad to do something like that. But there's a lot of things she could do. I don't see her being prosecuted because no one wanted the case. She proved that by when she said, because she told them that Nathan Wade was not her first choice for special prosecutor. She offered it to a few people. And one of the persons that she offered it to, the first person she offered the job of special prosecutor was to, I forget his name, but he was an ex-governor of Georgia. And it was probably when I was younger and didn't really pay attention to what was going on in Georgia then, when I was younger. And he got to understand, he testified that he didn't want to spend the rest of his life being guarded and having death threats come. He had a thriving law practice, and he had people who worked for him that needed their money and needed to get paid. So he refused it. So they disputed that lie. That lie was given. And the two personal friends of Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, they were jokes, because the I guess the ex-girl, the ex-friend of Fani Willis, she did the bare minimum. She said she knew and she offered nothing more. And so it was really, it was a mess. She was a mess. You could tell she was there because she got subpoenaed. She didn't want to be there because she didn't tell what they thought she was going to tell. Then come to find out, Nathan Wade's a divorce lawyer was let go from the firm because he had an accusation. He allegedly, um, somebody alleged he committed sexual harassment in the workplace. So they didn't really make the great witnesses. Then they went after the money. Fonnie Willis stated that she paid for cash. She paid in cash. That's what she was taught. That she was taught that by her father, and that is a tradition, mostly in black families. You have to keep some money in the house because you never know when something's going to go wrong, especially when you have a house. You never know when something's going to break, a water tank's going to go, whatever. But you're going to need some money to get it fixed real quick. So you keep money in the house. You don't go to the bank. That was, and that theory, they said she was trying to hide the money, but they wanted to know why she didn't have a bank statement. And to me, that was ridiculous. They asked her, where were her checks deposited? How did she deposit her checks? She said they came to her bank through direct deposit. So there are receipts of her taking money out of the bank. So that kind of was, to me, that was thrown out. And then what really got it, when the Napa Valley wine tasting, when she went to Napa Valley, the wine country, she said they had dinner. She paid for some of the dinner she had. And they tried to say, well, you have no proof that you did. Then a gentleman a waiter who served them there, said she did pay with cash. She pulled out $400 and paid him $400 in cash. He said he remembered it because in this day and age, he said he was looking for a credit card, but she paid for everything she did that day in cash. So that knocked that out. And then they went after she lied under oath. But the Judge McAfee, said during the hearing that was not a matter to be considered because people seem to forget this was not a trial for Fonnie Willis or Nathan Wade. This was a hearing to see if there was any impropriety. Yes, I won't say she was stupid, but being what I've heard and listened to, I see that she was probably lonely. She had to leave her house. She's getting constant death threats. And, she's being ridiculed by the Black church. You got churches that say she shouldn't be allowed to come into church. And this, and they're making it political. But the same people who are criticizing her for going into the church and speaking on what she was going through are the same people who are voting for Trump. I can't wrap my head around it. That's just a little extra I threw in there. So, you got to understand a lot. You really got to understand things that are going on because it's so hypocritical of everyone. But they're using the church speech against her. You have pastors against her. So I don't see why she should be disqualified. Her love life is none of my business. Would I have made the same choices if I was in her position in doing that case? No, I wouldn't. But then again, I should not say, because that's not me. It's really not me. It's not me, but her love life doesn't have anything to do with her ability to prosecute a case and get a judgment. I think the reason why I think she won't be disqualified is because the Republican Party, they really want to get rid of Trump. And if she can get enough people, and I believe if she's allowed to continue to prosecute this case, I believe she will get a winner. He will get a conviction. I really do, because Republicans are getting really, really tired of Trump because he's put his family into he's taken over the Republican Party. He's planning on doing it. And if he gets into office, we were all going to be up, you know. So it's crazy. I'm waiting to see if a few more people come in because I haven't been on. I'll stay on a half hour. If nobody comes on, then I'll leave. But so I'm gonna see something else. It's really crazy, you know. Here's something else maybe you'd like to see, but I don't see why Bonnie Willis, should be disqualified. But anybody out there who wants to come up on the panel and we can talk about it, let me know because, you know, it is what it is. Yeah. I'm going to put up something else concerning the case. I hope this comes through like I want it to, you know. No, it's not showing up. I got to go back. Okay, I know what to do. I'll try again. But like I said, if Fonnie Willis, I don't know, she shouldn't be taken off the case. No, she shouldn't be. She really shouldn't be. I don't think she should be. But you never know.
Anticipate and wait for his decision as to whether or not he's going to remove Fonnie Willis from this case. This is not that order. What this is, though, is a victory for the defendants, including the former president. One of those charges, he was accused of trying to get the Secretary of State to unlawfully overturn the election results here. The DA's office had said that that is a violation of the oath of office that he was soliciting from the Secretary of State. But ultimately, the judge in this case ruling that the DA's office failed to include sufficient details that would allow these defendants to intelligently prepare for a future trial. So he's throwing them out. All of these counts have to do, as I mentioned, with the violation of an oath of office. We are still reading through this order. But as I mentioned, Jim, this is not the ultimate decision as to whether or not Fonnie will be removed from this case. But in the short term, it is a victory for the defense attorneys and defendants in this case. Jim.
Yeah, so Nick, just to follow on that, for right now, Fonnie Willis still on the case, but a piece of this Georgia election subversion case looks like it has been dismissed. The rest of the charges are still there, so Trump and his alleged co-conspirators there in Fulton County not out of hot water by any stretch.
No, they're not. In fact, the judge went out of his way to say this does not mean that the indictment is dismissed. He wrote that in his order just a short time ago, which was handed out. Some of these counts, we'll just go through them. One of the counts, as I mentioned, has to do with the solicitation of the oath of office for the Secretary of State. Another one has to do with Trump and Meadows soliciting the Secretary of State to violate his oath of office on January 2nd, 2021 by requesting or importing him to unlawfully influence and certify election results. All of them, as I mentioned, have to do with the violation of the oath of office. But the judge ruling here in this case that the DA's office just really did not provide enough details about what that oath is that they were allegedly violating. So he's deciding to throw these charges out. Jim.
All right, a fascinating development. Nick Valencia, thanks for staying on top of it. As always, we appreciate it. CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig joins us now. Ellie, what do you make of this?
Well, Jim, this is an undeniable setback from the district attorney. Not the entire indictment, but 6 of the 40 counts have now been dismissed. And here's why. It's important to understand. Georgia state law has this sort of unusual law that says it's a crime to solicit, to ask a public official to violate his official oath of office. And as Nick just laid out, there are 6 counts in this indictment that say Donald Trump and other defendants asked various members of the Georgia Senate and the Georgia legislature and the Georgia Secretary of State, other public officials, to violate their oaths to the Constitution by essentially swinging the election. But what the judge says here is, you prosecutors, you have to say what part of the Constitution. The judge says there are hundreds of provisions in the U.S. Constitution and in the Georgia state Constitution. And the purpose of an indictment is to give defendants notice so they know what they're defending against. And you can't just say, well, you tried to violate the Constitution. The judge says what you have to say is what specific provisions of the Constitution, what specific sections of the Constitution. That's not in the indictment. Therefore, the judge says those charges are legally unfounded and now they're dismissed.
And so, Ellie, I mean, for the folks at home, I mean, Nick Valencia brought up the part of this where Trump pressured the Georgia Secretary of State to sort of throw out that election victory for Joe Biden in the state of Georgia. Does that get lifted out of the case? Is that still a part of this case? What does that mean?
It is still part of the case, that particular act, that phone call between Donald Trump and Brad Raffensperger, where Trump asks him to just find 11,780 votes. We've all heard it many times. That is still part of the case. That phone call is still part of the case. There are other charges in the case that squarely relate to that phone call. For example, the first count in the indictment, which is the very broad racketeering count, will still include that conduct. There are other fraud counts that would still include that conduct. So I don't think this ruling changes the type of evidence that the DA is going to be able to introduce, but it does knock out some of the charges. And look, it's embarrassing for prosecutors. It's a screw up by prosecutors when you bring a charge and then a judge throws it out before it even goes to trial.
Well, and that leads me to this question, Ellie, because there was so much was made of Fani Willis and her handling of this case, and the hearings that we saw play out on live television was such a spectacle. Does this bolster, in the judge's mind, the idea that perhaps the Fani Willis should not be handling this case, or is that a step too far?
It should not bolster the conflict of interest argument. I think these are and should be seen as two entirely separate questions. The question in the decision that we just got is the indictment properly constructed? Were these charges properly put before the grand jury, and are they sustainable? And the judge said, with respect to 6 of the charges in this case, again, not all of them, but just 6, no, they were not properly brought. There is an entirely separate question pending where we're waiting for a ruling any day now, where the judge has to decide whether the DA has a financial or other conflict of interest relating to her relationship with the outside person brought in to be the lead prosecutor here, Nathan Wade. Those should be completely different questions and completely different considerations by the judge.
And Ellie, I mean, the other question I had in my mind, and maybe Nick Valencia could help us on this question as well, this does not bode well for this case starting in a timely fashion. I mean, this potentially could be another delay in the case, theoretically.
Well, I guess you could look at it the other way and say, well, now we only have to deal with 34 counts
Well,
instead
okay,
of 40. But
that's true.
In this case, yeah, I mean, look, just looking at it pragmatically, but this case is not going to get tried to verdict before the November 2024 election. There's just no way. Even the DA is currently asking for an August 2024 trial start date. It takes the DA months to even pick a jury. There's another racketeering case in Georgia, high profile, but not this high profile. It took them, I think, 8 or 9 months to pick a jury. So there's just no realistic way that this case gets tried all the way to a verdict before November and the election.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that we need to look out for is the District Attorney Fani Willis and her reaction to all of this. I mean, everybody remembers all too well the way she responded to that hearing about whether or not she should stay on the case, and she famously said, "I'm not the one on trial here. The former president and all those co-defendants are on trial here." I mean, this is getting to be. I mean, this is going to be a very tough, fought-out case when it finally gets, to court and in front of a jury.
Yeah, there have been several screw-ups, frankly, by the DA throughout the history of this case. Going back to the investigative phase, the DA got herself disqualified from a small piece of the case because she created a political conflict of interest. The judge who was overseeing the grand jury removed Fani Willis from the case. We've seen Fani Willis make public statements in the church and elsewhere that have now been called into question that I think violate the ethics of prosecutorial rules. And now we've seen six of the charges thrown out of the case. And unlike the conflict of interest issue, this does go to the charges against the defendant. This does go to the indictment itself. And there is still a case. The lead charge, the racketeering case, is still in place. But this is a setback.
All right. But as Nick Lindsay was saying at the top of this segment, the whole case is not thrown out. Obviously, much of the case, the bulk of the case moves forward. Ellie Hoenig, thanks as always for breaking it down for us. We appreciate it.
Well, I don't agree with him. You know, I don't think it's a setback. I remember that they said that I had heard other attorneys say that she had overcharged. So I feel that, I could be wrong, but I feel that Scott McAfee is trying to how should I say it, to let the defense, you know, get all their emotions out. And so when it does go to trial, there's a better chance of him being found guilty. Most Republicans are tired of Trump and they want to get rid of him because they don't want the MAGA party, because the American people are sick and tired of the MAGA agenda. So I don't really know what, I assume Judge McAfee is letting them get it out. He's leaving things out there that can be, letting them get everything out so there is a better chance of being prosecuted. I think he's a fair judge. He is a Republican, and I don't think his decision is going to have anything to do with him wanting re-election. Because some people, even if they are Republicans do have a mind of their own. Because I don't see anybody that wants to keep a career following Donald Trump. Because the Republican Party is no longer the Republican Party of old that I grew up under, watching people vote for. I'm a registered Democrat, but I wouldn't have a problem voting for any Republican that was right. I didn't vote for either one of the Bushes, but they turned out to be decent guys, especially the son, George, the son. He was funny. I grew to like him. I didn't like all of his policies, but I grew to like him. And if it was a choice between him and Donald Trump, if Donald Trump was running as a Democrat and it was between him and George Bush Jr., George Bush Jr. would definitely be my choice. So I'm registered as a Democrat, but I don't have a problem voting for an independent, a liberal, a conservative. But I just can't, and I'll be honest. I like Joe Biden, but I feel Joe Biden should, he needs to retire, relax, enjoy his kids and stuff. But he's the lesser of the two evil. Could be somebody better. And he's smart. I don't think he's got dementia or none of that. For 81, he's swift. I'm younger than him, and I sit up there. Sometimes I forget what I came in the room, what I left out of one room and went in another room to get. I have to go back in the room, and then I say, oh, I forgot. I literally went to the doctor because I'm getting older. And I asked my doctor, am I having dementia? I said, because, people talk so much about dementia, and I go in a room and I forget. And I said, oh my God, I'm forgetting what I got to do. He says, no, you don't have dementia. You're just being forgetful. Everybody is forgetful. But, Joe Biden is good. Let's keep Donald Trump out for good. And let's get rid of him. He'll be around saying the election's stolen, and I don't think they're going to do anything. I think this time they'll be ready for him. He's not going to do no craziness this time. MAGA nuts won't do anything, So I've been on here for almost 30 minutes and nobody's come up. It's that time of the day, I guess. So, you know, no one knows I'm live. I guess no one knows I'm live. Such a nice day, and the weather's been so crappy. I think people are out enjoying it. I got beat up by the wind. We had a windstorm here. I went out in hurricane force winds, 55, 65 miles per hour winds, and I got beat the heck up by the wind. I was in a hurricane without the rain, if you can believe that. So we have to wait and see what's going to go on. So, well, so since nobody's going to come up, usually somebody pops up on me, surprises me and pops up. But I don't think anybody's going to do it. I don't think anybody's going to do it. But anyway, I'm just yeah. Oh, okay. I just got a text. Yep, I just got it. Oh, yeah. Oh,
Can you see me? Can you
yeah.
hear me?
I just got your text. I'm
Okay,
learning.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's
I'm
good coverage
learning.
you're doing.
Huh?
It's good
I didn't.
coverage you're doing.
I didn't hear you.
It's- Yeah, it's good coverage you're doing on the
Yeah, I'm
yeah.
learning. I got to learn how to set this stuff, but I just had to do that. I wasn't going to do anything because I've been getting on this thing and I have to learn. I have housework to do. I've been on here
Right.
sometimes and stuff like that, but I had to do.
Yeah.
I don't think he's
But
going
I
to
like your
just.
breakdown. I like your
Yeah.
breakdown of the situation. It's really great.
Oh, thank you. I didn't think it was that great. I was just saying how I felt. I don't think he's going to disqualify her, but
Mhm.
because I don't know if you followed the case or not. I've been following ever since it started, and they said
I
she
know.
overcharged. They said she overcharged, and it was said that in Georgia, um, to charge a lot of people, you have to do a RICO charge. That's why she does RICO charges so much because it's a part of Georgia law. I have to look it up to see what it is. I just threw
But
this
when they
together.
say when
Huh?
they say overcharge, what are they talking about?
Like you see the counts he took out. He took out 6 counts. I
Oh,
think
right. That's okay. Yeah. So
the counts that
you
he
don't
didn't.
mean
Yeah, the counts
right.
that he didn't think would stand up. They left the most
Yeah, that's
important
okay.
ones in. Yeah,
That's
but
okay. Yeah.
people are saying, "Oh, he's winning. He's going to get away." No, he's not
Uh,
throwing the whole case out. I think he's throwing the weaker parts out that he feels.
exactly. That's all.
Yeah.
It's come on. It's I just wanted to make sure you made that clear because some people may think when you say overcharged, they may think you're talking about how much she paid the attorney or
No,
prosecutor,
they
that one. But
probably do.
they did, all I'm saying, Pumpkin, is you doing excellent coverage of it. I like your coverage. It's and I hope more people listen and follow you, and because you're doing really sharp coverage.
I gotta put
It's
it
up there.
together. I'm trying. I'm trying, but
No,
this
you got
fascinates.
it.
Yeah, this stuff like this fascinates me, you know. But yeah, they're doing it so wrong. They're doing the black churches are against her, and you got people on here, which is a whole nother thing. You got pastors and stuff, they're hypocrites. You don't want her because you say she committed adultery. Okay, you're going by the Bible. I get it. I grew up in the church. I get it. But
Mhm.
you but you're supporting the convicted rapist. Well, assault.
Exactly.
Why
Exactly.
would you do that? It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
I
And guess what? If they committed adultery themselves, they would ask their very parish members to just forgive them because they prayed to God. So
Yeah.
it's just silly, you know. It's just silly. It's her personal life. Her personal life is her personal life. What does that have to do with her as at work as an attorney? It's complete hypocrisy. You know, her job is to not be a preacher. That's not her job, you know, and they should receive her like every other human being that they forgive every other day of the week for everything, you know. But instead, they just being hypocrites themselves, you know. She's a black woman. They should and she had to do a lot to get that job. She had to do a lot of hard work. She had to stand up against a lot of animosity and hatred, you know,
I
just
think
over
she'll be
being a black woman.
reelected.
I hope
Honestly,
she is
but
reelected, you know.
I think she's going to be reelected. She's not stupid, or she's not dumb. You have these older pastors. They're saying, "Well, name one thing racist about Trump," and I'm like, "For real?"
Man,
I mean, this man every
Trump tried
day.
to this Trump been racist the whole time, and they still never see it. They missed the Central Park Five. I mean, what type of
I
private citizen? Trump
can
was a private citizen that went out and paid money for an article where he
$1
wanted
million
the death
article in the New
penalty.
York
$1
Times.
million, exactly, for the death of 5 innocent black boys who did
Teenagers,
nothing. You know,
teenagers.
and he wouldn't even teenagers, and he wouldn't even give those same 5 black men a penny of restitution. You know, these people are I'm sorry, but sometimes, I mean, it has to be said. Sometimes not sometimes, these men, these black men or women, whoever the hell they are, that
Black
think Trump
preachers.
is not a racist, they should be ashamed of themselves. They're traitors to their own people. They're
Yes,
traitors. Their own relatives been hung up on ropes, and they don't understand what Trump tried to do was lynch these 5 black teenagers. They don't understand that. How dumb do you have to be?
they
You know?
got
And so anyway, yeah.
they
Thank
got
you for doing
money.
your coverage.
Yeah,
Mhm,
but they
mhm,
got
mhm.
money. The Central Park Five, they got millions of dollars. They got like
But did they get it from
140.
Trump? But did
No,
they
Trump
get it
won't
from
even
Trump?
give them. That's what I was getting ready to say. He won't give
Exactly.
them. He won't give them an apology. He said they were in there. They had to be doing something.
Exactly.
That's his
Exactly.
take. But he's not.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It just passes
Look,
me by
look, and
with
check this
that.
out. Check this out. The reality is that Trump is not only a racist, but he's running for president and he can't hold his caca. The man can't hold his caca, you know?
I know.
So
I
anyway,
wasn't
I'm
sure if
sorry.
that
I
was
had to say
true.
that.
I know. I wasn't. I was thinking that, but I wasn't. I wasn't going to say because I wasn't sure if that was true. I thought it
He's
was just.
wearing it. Look, look, they talk about Biden and Trump wears a damn diaper to the golf course. I mean, what the hell's going on with people?
Because he eats all that garbage food. You never see him
Oh,
going sitting down at a table eating something. Every time you see him eating, he eats McDonald's. I've eaten so much McDonald's with the kids, I can't stand to smell it. You know, I cook every day, try to anyway. But he's
anyway,
terrible.
pumpkin.
And now I gotta
I
go
gotta go.
too. And
Yeah, I gotta go, but I appreciate you. And
okay.
thank you. I just wanted to thank you for doing
Yeah,
your
but
coverage of
anyway,
this.
I
Yeah.
tried it anyway. But I got your message and I'm gonna go and do that. You said go through the what did you say go through?
I'm gonna call you. I'll call you once you're done. It's all right.
Okay,
I'll call
I'm
you
getting
once you're
ready
done with
to
the
end
live.
it now. I got to go back to cleaning my house. I ain't got time for Trump, his sneakers and his stupidness. I
Yeah.
got to go clean my house.
But at least you tried. At least you telling
I
people.
tried
So
it.
you did your
I
thing.
tried
Yep.
it.
There you
Hey,
go.
these
All right.
dummies don't, and they bought them damn sneakers, and I'm done. You all right? Go ahead. I'm going to end
All right.
this.
All right.
Thanks
All
a
right. We
lot.
talk. Bye.
I
Bye. You're
appreciate you.
welcome. You're welcome. You too. Bye. Bye.